A very warm good morning to the superstars of Gokulam Public School, the dazzling girls and the handsome boys. Welcome to our online English class. I hope that you all are in your best of spirits, fully energetic and charged for today's class. So let's not waste any more time and quickly get into our class. I am very sure that you are all well aware of the updates of COVID-19 pandemic situation that we are going through. There is something for us to feel happy about. The vaccines are on their last stage, and hopefully by September the vaccines would be out, and hopefully by end of this year we will all go back to our normal lives safe and sound. Of course, this year has been an year of survival. We had to face a lot of unexpected situations, and together, yet keeping a social distancing, we have learned to survive a very difficult and crisis situation. And my dear students, life is more about teaching how you to survive. We are all aware that death is inevitable part in any man's life. But to live, to survive, there are some things that keeps us motivated and inspired. What keeps you motivated to live each passing day? It could be the care of your loved ones, your passions, the fire inside you to achieve your goals. For each person, it is different. And today, in our class, we are going to speak about such a similar theme. We are going to start a new chapter from the textbook Hornbill. We are not afraid to die if we are together. This is an autobiographical extract written by Gordon Cook and Alan East. Gordon Cook narrates to us about a sea voyage that he had with his family. In July 1976, 37-year-old Gordon Cook, along with his wife Mary and two children, Zane 7 years and Jonathan 6 years, set out for a sea voyage around the world, inspired by similar sea trip completed 2000 years ago by the famous Captain James Cook. For this purpose, the narrator and his wife spent 16 years honing their seafaring skill, means improving, studying about seafaring. They took 16 years. And finally, they professionally built a ship named Waywalker, which was 200-meter long and 13-ton weight. After that, they took many months to test that the ship is safe for traveling in the sea. They had planned a 3-year sea voyage, which was divided into different phases. Phases means different parts. The first part of their journey was very safe and enjoyable. They traveled 105,000 kilometers from the west coast to Africa and entered into the Cape Town. Before they entered into the Cape Town, they also took along with them two more very experienced sailors. One is Larry Vigil, and the other was a Swiss citizen, Herb Segler. This was done as they needed some professional help while they entered the very dangerous southern Indian Ocean. On the second day of entering Cape Town, they started experiencing some strong wind. The wind was blowing continuously, but Gary had convinced the narrator that they need not worry and that the wind would subside very quickly. Then came Christmas. On December 25th, Even though they were experiencing some bad weather and strong wind, they still managed to celebrate the Christmas in spirit and happiness. The condition of the weather did not find any improvement and there were more stronger winds. After New Year, on January 3rd, they saw that the waves were becoming gigantic. Gigantic means very huge. Now they were expecting a very serious storm. So they prepared themselves with all the essentials. The storm jib means the sail, was very small. So they pulled out their oilskins and life jackets and stayed alert for any warning signs. By this time, the sea was roaring and there were very strong winds that was almost painful to their ears. Yet they hoped that some change would soon happen. And change did definitely happen for them, but it was only for worse. The first signs of a disaster to come, impending disaster, impending means which is expected to happen, came at around 6 p.m. There was a complete silence in the weather now. Have you heard about the proverb, the calm before the storm? What does it mean? It means that always when there is a storm going to come, the weather will be very silent and calm. And then suddenly it just lashes out like anything. So similarly for them, there was a complete silence and calmness, and then came the disaster. With a roaring sound, the narrator felt that the cloud was about to fall on him. It was only later that he realized that it is not an enormous cloud falling upon him. It was a huge wave that was twice larger than the ship that had fell upon the ship. The thunder increased and the water waves falling onto the deck of the ship almost felt like bomb explosions. The narrator was thrown away from the wheel and he hit his head onto the side of the ship and he felt that he is about to die. He was almost becoming unconscious when suddenly his head popped out from the water. When he looked around, he saw that the entire deck was filled with water. But yet, grabbing his strength, he tried to keep the wheel under control. As he was struggling in between the waves and the wheel, he suddenly heard the door open and his wife shouted out that the ship is sinking. He immediately commanded his wife to take control of the wheel and he went inside to check the damage that has happened to the ship. Now, whatever he saw over there was not a happy sight. He saw that the ship was broken in many parts. Larry and Herb was fervently, very hardly trying to pump out the water from the ship. He saw in the water his clothes and toys and every other items floating inside the ship. He immediately went to the children's cabin. He noticed that his two sweet tiny children were seated on the upper deck of the bed and his daughter Suzanne had an injury on the head and there was a swelling. He asked the child how she was and she very coolly said that there is nothing to worry, only a small bump on the head. Gordon did not give much importance to that because he was feeling more concerned that they are safe. Gordon now immediately moved back into the deck to help the sailors. He saw that the starboard means the side of the ship, was broken and water was coming furiously inside the ship. He realized that if he did not make any immediate repairs, the ship would get capsized. Capsized means it would get drowned. The narrator now began to make for some immediate repairs. He pulled out the canvas and tried to fix the broken parts of the ship. They were able to keep the water under control now with this small repair done. More problems arose when pumps stopped working. The hand pumps that they were using now were filled with all the dirt and rubbish that it was not possible for them to use those pumps. One of the electric pumps had a short circuit and that was also not working. Again, the water level started increasing. It was at this point that the narrator remembered that there were spare hand pumps in their store and he went and collected that. He also found an electric pump over there. The whole night was now spent endlessly trying to pump out the water. In between, they were also sending out signals for help to the other ships nearby. This is called as Mayday calls. Mayday calls means SOS, signals sent to the other ships so that they would come out and help them. Unfortunately for the narrator, they did not receive any help. In between, he noticed that his daughter Sue had more injuries than what she had reported. Her head had swollen alarmingly and her eyes had become black. There was also a deep cut on her arm. This made the narrator feel very depressed. When questioned why she didn't inform about her injury to the narrator, she replied her father that she did not want to worry him as he was trying to help them out. The young girl of 7 years old had indeed acted in a very mature manner. This gave the narrator a motivation to fight for survival. Struggles are inevitable in every man's life. But who supports you during the struggle and how you manage your struggles is far more important than the struggles itself. Here, when facing a life and death situation, the narrator had received enormous support from his young children that it renewed his energy and enthusiasm and the courage to fight for survival. Was the narrator able to save the family? The answer to this question we will find out in our next class. Read your textbook and note down the important points. I am attaching the notes and test paper. So till we meet again, keep studying hard and be good children. Thank you.